What if you never had to write another email again? Because you have a team of AI sales agents drafting all of your emails for you and asking for your feedback, revising the emails, and sending it on your behalf. I'll show you how this entire system works inside of N8N, walk you through the entire setup, start from scratch to show you how this works step by step. So the way that this works is every time a new lead comes into our database, it triggers this workflow, which then is passed to our sales agent. So our sales agent gets information from that lead, depending on the form they submitted, for what type of AI solution they're looking for, what their timeline is, etc. And then it uses our information from our database to craft a personalized response to that lead. And then it shares an email draft with us, which is what it has right now. And it's waiting for feedback on whether we should send out that draft or not. And so this is the email that was sent to us, and it is waiting for our feedback. So we have LeBron James from the LA Lakers is looking for a custom AI solution. Their budget is 15 to 20K with a 2-week timeline. Please approve or decline the sending of this message. And so this is the email. This is a subject. We appreciate your interest. We recognize the importance of streamlining appointment management for a dynamic personality such as yourself. In the past, we've worked with a real estate agent on a project aptly named AI voice agent for appointment booking, aligned closely with your requirements, etc., etc. So here, LeBron is looking for a voice agent to pick up his calls and book appointments on his calendar. I'm imagining as the Lakers are preparing for their run, he probably doesn't want to be taking all these calls. So we have mentioned a particular project that we did that was similar in our email to say, hey, we've done something similar in the past. This was the result of that great project. We're confident we can deliver a good solution for you. Please let us know a time that fits your calendar. And so we can look at this and we can respond with, I didn't like the way that they specified the name of this project. We don't need that. So don't specify the name of the project. Just say we helped a real estate agent do something similar. And then we click submit for feedback. And now we can go back to our flow. We can see that it got the feedback. It saw that we did not approve the message. We needed a revision on it. So our revision agent is doing work right now, revising the email, and then it's going to send it back to us again for feedback. And so it's in this step right here, which means that we got another sent draft to look at. In relation to your requirements, we've previously worked with a real estate agent to develop a solution. We've set up an intelligent AI managed system that integrated directly with the CRM, et cetera, et cetera. We got these results. Please feel free to suggest a time that works best for you. And so this looks good. And so I want to send this out and say, we can say anything along the lines of good to go, send it. And then it said, got it, page can be closed. And now it executed. And so it went to this path, which sent the email. And if we go to our sent emails, we can see that we got something like this sent out to that lead. And it's the exact email that we just approved. So that's essentially how this works. It sends us the draft of the email. We offer revisions. We don't just say approve or deny. We say, okay, how can we make this better? And then it does it for us. It makes all these revisions, all these changes for us. And then it sends out the final version once we give that final approval. So as soon as it hears that we approve it, it sends out that email. All right, so we're gonna start completely from scratch. And so the first thing we're going to want to do is set up the trigger for this workflow. So this workflow should be set up to run anytime a new lead comes into our database. And so for that, we're going to need an Airtable trigger. And so we're going to create a new Airtable event. We're going to pull the event every single minute, and then we're going to pass in the Airtable database that we've created. And so I've already gone ahead and created this database for this demo, which includes just one lead to show you for the demo. And then it includes the name of the lead, the email that the lead put into their form, their company, their intent, what they're looking for, their budget, their description of the project that they're looking for, their timeline, and then this is just an Airtable form for when that was created. And so we use that URL, we paste that in there, and so you can actually put in the same URL for the base and the table because it goes exactly to this specific table within this base. And then you can go ahead and click execute this node. You are gonna have to connect your Airtable account with N8N, which I can do a whole separate video on. There's other tutorials out there. N8N does have really good docs for this step, and so I recommend you checking those out. And we put the trigger field here as created time, and then we click fetch test event. And there we go. It's going to grab the records from our lead database. And so every minute, this is going to be looking for new leads that come in, and then that is the trigger to start our workflow. And so our workflow is essentially, we are going to have a sales agent. We're going to use the AI agent module, and we're going to create this as a sales agent. So in this case, the AI agent module in N8N allows us to create a system prompt and a user prompt for this sales agent. And so we don't want to just use the connected chat trigger node. We want to define our own prompt right here. And so we can put a user prompt here, and we can also put a system prompt here. So let's put in our system prompt first. And I'm going to copy and paste this prompt from the setup. So again, if you want to download this setup and just follow along to understand how this works, I would recommend you do that. So I'm going to paste this setup. So this is what the system prompt looks like. You are an expert salesperson for an agency that delivers AI solutions. Your job is to respond to incoming leads by addressing their needs in a professional manner. You will receive information like the lead's project description, their timeline, and your goal is to convince them that we are the best AI agency on the market. And so we have access, this agent has access to certain tools. The projects database, which I'll go over in just a minute on how to set up. And we're going to pass rules in for what this AI agent is supposed to do and what it's allowed to do. And then we have final notes on how to sign off the emails, and then it's passing in the current date and time as well. So that is our system prompt, which defines the high-level instruction for what this is supposed to do. The user prompt is that specific instance of, okay, in this instance, this lead was passed in and this is that lead's information. And these are going to be dynamic variables that we're going to pass in. And so what we're going to do is we're going to pass in all of these particular variables into this user message. And so the user message looks something like this. We have an incoming lead. This is the name of that lead. If you were to just do this, I had copied and pasted this just to make this quick, but just to show you, you can drag this over and you get the exact same field. So we're essentially passing in whatever field came in from our trigger into the user prompt. So we have the name, email, the intent, the budget, the company name, the description, the timeline. Whatever info you have on that lead that you feel like is relevant for the email, you want to pass that in. So that is passed into the user prompt. So that's it for the prompts for our sales agent. Now we need to connect our sales agent to any sort of chat model. So I use OpenAI for a lot of my demos, and OpenAI obviously is state of the art, and so it is really, really good. We can use 4o Mini for this case. We just need to connect our OpenAI account. So again, it is just a simple API connection. So I can make another video, you can respond in the comments or put a comment down if you're struggling with this and I can help you out. But essentially you just connect your OpenAI account, you pick which model you want to use. 4o Mini works great for most conversations like generating emails and things like that. It is the perfect model for that. So we can connect to that chat model. And then going back to our sales agent, we do want to require a specific output format. And so what that's going to allow us to do is to specify what the output is going to look like. The reason for this is by requiring a specific output format, we can structure the output in proper JSON so that we can specify what the subject line is, what the message is, who it's from, who it's to, and the data doesn't ever get messed up or confused with each other. It knows what each section of the output is for so that I can pass that into the next module to actually send off in the email. And it basically minimizes a lot of the errors that we can have in these automations. So by turning on the required specific output, it created this new output parser module, which we can click and then specify a structured output. And so we can generate, we defined our schema here, and this is our JSON schema. So we have an object that has the subject line of the email, the specific body content of the email, etc. So this is our JSON schema that we're going to use. And so the output of our sales agent is always going to be in that format. It's going to be subject and email in proper JSON. The last thing we want in this sales agent, if you remember from the prompt, is our project database. So we want access to a table that shows what our recent work is. So basically it gives us information, it gives this AI agent information about our business and what we've done in the past. So these are sample projects that we've done for specific businesses. And so it outlines the service, the results, etc. And so it's going to look at this database, find which one is relevant to that lead, and then highlight that in the email that it writes. And so we're going to pass in the Airtable tool and allow it to search records. So search records from a particular base. And so we're just going to pass in AI demos as the base, and then the table can be projects. And we can pass return. So in this case, we used from list when selecting our Airtable, which works well. We can also just pass in the URL like I showed earlier. There's multiple ways to connect your specific records, your specific base and table. So in this case, we're just looking at our projects. We want to return all. That is pretty much it. Then this Airtable is all set up, ready to go. And so we're just going to rename this project database. And then that is our structured output, and that is all good to go. So we can run this just to see how this looks. Perfect, so it executed successfully. We can go in and click to see what the response was, and the response was, "Thank you for reaching out. We're excited to assist." Everything looks green, so no issues. It was able to access the project database. The structured output looks correct in terms of the way that this response is structured. So then we know that the sales agent is doing its job properly. Now what we want to do is create a loop, right? So we want to pass it in to get feedback to the user, and then we want to allow the feedback to then be passed into a classification. The classification will determine whether to approve or deny the draft, and if it denies it, it will go to a revision agent and then back over. So this is all going to be in a loop, allowing unlimited revisions. And so this sales agent is really there for creating the first email draft, which we just did. The next thing is we want to set a variable for that specific email. And so the way that we're going to do that is we're going to set the field, and we're going to do a manual mapping. We're going to add the field as a string, call it the email, and essentially we're just going to pass in the output as an email. The reason we're doing that is that every time we're going to create this loop, every time the revision agent outputs something, we want to reset that as the most recent email so that the feedback that is passed into the user is the most recent email that was created and not the past email from past iterations. So we always want to reset to the most updated email, and we need to do that here at the start of our loop. This might not make sense right now because we haven't revised the email quite yet and we haven't gone through our loop and built out our loop. But once we build out the entire loop, this variable is very much necessary. So just keep that there for now. The next thing we want to do, and now that we've set our email, is to send it to our user, which is us in this case, to get actual feedback. And so Gmail has a particular function called send and wait, and that's what we're going to use for this. So we're going to put in the Gmail module, and we're going to put send and wait. Send a message and wait for a response. And so what we're going to send, first we're going to execute previous nodes so that we're allowed to drag this in. Who are we going to send it to? We're going to send it to ourselves. And so in this case, I just manually put my email. We don't want to send this to our lead. We want to send this to us. This is our draft. So this here, the subject of the email is the output of the sales agent. And then the email is actually from the set email. It's not this email, because again, we need the most updated email, which is going to be this, the email that's outputted from this module. The subject is this right here. You can make the subject whatever you like, as long as you put something that helps you identify what's actually going on here. So I just put approval required from us, from a new lead. And the lead, this is their name. And the message is gonna be something like this. This looks like a lot. Let me open this up. So this name, this lead name from X company is looking for whatever their intent is. They're looking for a custom AI solution. Their budget is 15 to 20 grand with a 2-week timeline. Please approve or decline the sending of this message down below, generated by you, our AI specialist. Shoot, we're AI specialist. This is our subject, and this is the email, right? So we are passing those things in. And again, this email is coming as the output of this set email. We just want to do that. It's coming from the response of this set email, not from the sales agent. Hopefully that makes sense. That is our expression that we're going to pass into the message. You can customize this message to your liking because it's the email that's sent to yourself. If you want to make it a little more concise, you can do that. But that's the email that we're going to send to ourselves. And that's pretty much it. We can go ahead and test this step. I recommend you test this here. Awesome. So it is waiting for input. So let's go over to our email inbox and check. Cool. So we just got this approval required for new lead. Please approve or deny. And then we can say, there you go, approve. Actually, from seeing this, I forgot to do one thing, which is to change this to free text, which is really important. Our goal here is not just to approve or deny the email draft that was sent. Our goal is to send in a reply to this AI agent in order to revise the email if we don't like it. And so it's going to be a free text as a response. So what I want to do is retest this step just to confirm with you that this works. So we're going to wait for input, and now we got another one. And so now here our option is to respond. And so we can put in a form, which is exactly what we need. And so in this case, it's not going to do anything yet. We're just going to leave it, but that worked just as intended. So that sent in our draft email. Now, once we reply with some sort of a response here, then it's going to need to classify our response as, oh, do we like it? And do we want to send it out? Or do we not like it? And do we need to revise it? And so for that, we need a classification step. And so we're going to use another AI step to classify our response as approve or deny. So we're going to add a text classifier module, and that's going to be right here. And then we are going to, again, use this to approve or deny and send it on to different paths. And so the text that we are looking to classify is the response that we just submitted in our form, in our approval form. So when we clicked respond, what did we send into that form? So when we click this, in this case, we already did it, but what do we need to send in that form? And so we add options. The options are approved or deny. And we're going to need to give each option a description and then use a large language model to look at our response, look at the description, and then decide which path to go down. And so for the approved path, we're going to say if the email has been reviewed and accepted as is, the human explicitly or implicitly expresses approval, including that no changes are needed. Example phrases could look like looks good, go ahead and send it, this works for me, approved, no changes needed. If any of these are sent or it's implied that the intended message, it's going to go to approved, and then we have another description for deny. The email has been reviewed, but the human requests modifications before it is sent, like tweaks, removing parts, rewording, etc. This could include suggestions, suggested edits, rewording, or major revisions. Example phrases include, can we tweak this part? This needs some changes. I'd like to reword this. Not quite right. Let's revise it. Can you adjust this before sending? Don't mention that we do this or whatever. And if it hears any of those or implies any of those, then it's going to go down to the deny path. This is a really good example of how AI allows for natural language classification, which is not common in traditional, development work. And so that's really cool. So we can do approve or deny based on the data that we sent into this form. Now, of course, this classification is not going to just classify by itself. We have to use a large language model to do that. And so we are going to use the exact same OpenAI model. And so what I do here is I actually just drag it to the exact same model that we've already configured, and then we are good to go. So this looks good. And then we can just rename these things just so we remember what these things do exactly. And then great, we're good until here. Now, of course, if we approve it, we can go ahead and send the message. So if it determines that we say, okay, then we can go ahead and put Gmail and put a step for sending off the message. And so we're going to need some data here in order to move some of these variables. So we're going to say, who are we going to send this to? We're going to send this to that lead in their email that they put in. We're going to send in the subject that our sales agent created just earlier. The subject doesn't change with any of the revisions. We're going to leave that. The message is the most recent email that was passed in through set email. And that is it. So that looks good. And then we are just going to leave that as is and hit save. So that's the approve step. The deny step, it's a little more interesting. We are going to create a revision agent, which is very similar to the sales agent. It is going to be an AI agent. And similarly, we are going to use the AI agent module itself to pass in prompts. And so we have a system prompt and a user prompt. So let me go ahead and start with the system prompt. So this is the system prompt. You are an expert email writer. Your job is to take an incoming email and revise it based on the feedback that the human submitted. Sign off all emails as Shu Digital Peak, and then here's the current date and time. So that is our system prompt, very, very simple. Then this is our user prompt. We are simply going to pass in the email that was given to us and then the feedback from that we shared in our past step. And we're going to rename this to be a revision agent. And then again, we're going to specify a specific output format, and we will specify that right now. So the chat model is going to use OpenAI. We're going to use the exact same model, OpenAI. We're going to use the output parser, the same structured output, because the output of this revision agent should look the exact same. It should be the same JSON object that we used earlier. And so that is our revision agent. And the most interesting part of this is now going to be passed over here all the way to set email. Now we have a loop. So the output of this revision agent is going to go all the way here to be the new email. And that email will then get sent to us for feedback. So I hope that makes sense as to why we use the set email. And that is the entire process end to end. All right, so now that is the entire system. We are just going to test this out end to end to make sure this works. And so our Airtable sends in the lead to our sales agent, who writes an email and then sends it to us. And now we should be getting an email with our first draft. Great, so we got this guy named LeBron is looking for a voice agent. Fantastic. We can definitely help him out with that. Let's schedule a second call to discuss your requirements. Specify a proposed time to schedule the call. I don't just want to respond with, hey, what time works for you? I want to say something like, does 1 p.m. work for you? And I'll say, ask for 1 p.m. on Tuesday specifically. And then it said, got it, thanks. And so it took that as a deny, revision agent revised it, and is now sending us our second draft immediately, just that quickly. So this is our second draft. Let's schedule a second call. I propose we connect on Tuesday at 1 p.m. Perfect. All right, so everything else looks good. I'm not even gonna say send it. I'm just gonna say looks good. And then I'm gonna say submit. And then bam, it went to this approve branch, which sent the final email. And so now let's just confirm that the email was in fact sent. And we can see, in fact, this email was sent like this. And it could say, I propose we connect on Tuesday at 1 p.m. Please let me know if that works for you. If you notice this here, you can remove this if you'd like. There is another setting to remove that. And I can do another video on how to remove these automated kind of messages if you don't want that. But the email is sent, we're good to go. And so that is our AI solution. Hope that makes sense. And again, this whole thing is available for you. If you just want to copy and paste this, feel free to do that. You can watch this video over again just to make sure that you understand how this is working in case you want to modify it to your specific needs. If you guys are looking for something like this built out for your business, feel free to check out the call link below so you can actually chat with us about how we can build something like this or much more complex for your specific business. Other than that, hope you guys got some value out of today's video, and I appreciate you guys for watching, and I will see you guys all